Hi, welcome to another edition of Antique Radio Archaeology. Today we're going to do a restoration on a Crosley 51 regenerative receiver from 1924. Now this particular radio was produced by the Crosley Radio Company, and I'm not going to get too involved in the history of it because there is so much information about that company online and in books. As a matter of fact, if you want to pick up Alan Douglas's Radio Manufacturers of the 1920s, you will find a whole chapter dedicated to Crosley radios and the history of it. So just a quick synopsis. Mr. Powell Crosley was born in 1886 in Cincinnati, Ohio, to a prominent lawyer. And he wound up wanting to become wealthy, so he went on to engineering school and kind of struck out on his own and wound up getting involved in automobiles, and that was really his passion. And in 1906 he built a car, tried to manufacture it. His company went under in 1907 when there was a slight market crash, but after that, he wound up with a automotive accessories company, and he did well with that. He picked up some other companies, and eventually he wound up going to a store to pick up a radio for his kid. Now, at the time, radios were really expensive, and he was kind of shocked. So he went home, and him and his kid built a crystal radio, and then he modified it, and for about 35 bucks it was able to produce a pretty decent little radio. And he thought, well, heck, I can do this, and I can do it cheaply. So he wanted to build radios, and what he found out real quick was you can't do it without an Armstrong patent license. Now, there were only a handful of companies that had them, and they were non-transferable. So what he did is he bought a company called Precision Equipment. Now, they own the trade name, which is very well known to a lot of people, of Ace. And when he bought that company, he had to maintain the Ace name for a while, and then I think through some under-the-table negotiations he was able to drop that name. But initially they were Ace radios, and then later on when he went to Crosley, he was producing a handful of radios, and none of them were really that successful, but the Model 5 was doing relatively well. Now, the Model 5 was represented by the Roman numeral 5, which was the letter V, and what he did at one point was he added an audio section to that Model 5, and he called it the V+1 or 5+1. And of course it later became the Crosley 51 when it went into production. It was initially introduced with a hard rubber front panel, and in the latter part of its production they started doing wood panels on them. I don't know how many of each were produced, but I do know that the wood panels are kind of hard to come by these days, and I think that could possibly be just due to the deterioration over the years and the fact that the hard rubber probably held up a little better than some of these wood face panels. But either way, I've got one of each radio, and today we're going to do the wood face version. The hard rubber version, I'm waiting on some parts before I can do anything with that, so let's go ahead and get started. So here's the wood face Crosley 51. It's in really good shape. It's got everything on it, which is nice. It's got all the terminals. It's got all the knobs inside. Looks pretty good. I've got the tubes, transformer, got my coils. There's my little book capacitor over here. There's my grid leak. There's a rheostat down there. So everything's in here. The problem that I already know that I have here, here's my primary. As you can see, I'm reading nothing. On the secondary, I've got about 7K. So yeah, my primary shot on this thing. I need to do something about that transformer. just to get this thing working. Now I do know, I did test these tubes, they're both good. So everything else seems to be good. I think that's not going to be my only problem. So I'm not going to do a lot on this one. I want to keep it as original as possible. I'll clean this a little bit. That's pretty much it, clean the knobs. But I do want to replace that transformer. So that's going to be my biggest thing, and then we're going to go ahead and test her out and see if it works. Case. As you can see, the case is in really good shape. It really is. A little bit of cleanup. There you have the insides. Again, my rheostat looks good. Got my two capacitors here, one here in the grid leak with the grid leak resistor. I did ohm that out, it looks good. So that's pretty much it. There's not much to it, but I do need to get this transformer out of here. I do have this coil wire wrapped around that right up here, so don't want to break that off. Okay. There's all my hardware. Okay, this thing seems to be held in place by just those two screws right here. Alright, there we go. Again. Primary. Secondary seems good. Alright, so let's see what's inside this bad boy. So, oh nice, I like that. The iron core actually comes out in one piece. Alright. There you can see it better. Primary is typically the center circle here, and that would be the secondary, the outer circle. Okay, so what I've got here is, this is a P-T431. You can get these through Antique Electrical Supply, and what they are is they are a audio transformer. Now obviously the impedance is a little different than the one that goes in this, but this will work. What I need to do is go ahead and solder this up and reassemble it. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to have the output side go to the top. So I'll just have those little excess wire in there. I don't need the center tap, so since there's really nothing in here, it's not going to matter. So this here, the two green wires, read about 1.5K. This is the secondary. The primary here is about 500K, 4 to 500, 425. So this is definitely the primary, this is definitely the secondary. And I only need a couple inches, so I'll go ahead and cut those off right about there. Same on this side. Alright. So there's my secondary. Okay, so I'm just going to use a hot glue gun here. A little bit of glue there. Let's see what happens there. Put a little dab in there. Just kind of brace it. Okay. Now, that's a little more, I think that's going to hold it. fully rebuilt transformer. Here's the primary, 0.428. Secondary, 1.5. Alright, that is a functional transformer. There you go. Perfect. Alright. So, I'm going to go ahead and remove these knobs so I can clean them up. Okay, so one of the things that I'm not liking is somebody had put a little dial pointer on here and glued it on or whatever they did. I don't know, but I want to get that off of there because that's not original, and seems to be paper. I'm going to try a little bit of lacquer thinner. I gotta be real careful because this faceplate is lacquer. You can see there is a symbol under there. Alright, I'll just let that sit there for a little bit. To get to that clip, I have to remove all of this. There. Now you can see what I'm talking about. There, finally. Okay, so now I can go ahead and reassemble. There you go. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about some configurations here before we fire this thing up. Now, let me go ahead and pull this back out of here. Now with this here, I'm using a couple of 201A tubes, which is a standard configuration. However, I can use 199 tubes with adapters, and obviously use the appropriate A voltage. But what I wanted to point out was there is a way of using a power tube as the second tube. You can either use a 112A or a 171A or a UX120 if you're using the UX199 in this particular socket. But the reason I bring that up is if you are using one of the power tubes, you need a C- voltage. In order to get that C- voltage, there is a jumper right here. That thing has to be desoldered in order to do that. If you do not desolder this, what will happen is if you try to hook up a C battery, you're going to short it out. Do not do that. So when you're using this with the 201A tubes, you are not going to be using the C- terminal on the faceplate here. So let's go ahead and put this back together, and we're going to go ahead and fire it up, see how it sounds. Okay, that's a local radio station. I'll try and get my home station. There you go. So that concludes this episode of Antique Radio Archaeology. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I really would like to do the other Crosley 51 that I have sometime in the future, and when I do that one, what I'd like to do is the power tube variation of it. So we'll have something a little different than this one, and you know, we can compare the two to see which one sounds better. So look for that sometime in the future. In the meantime, happy restorations everybody. Hope to see you again next video. Goodbye.